I think that they should figure out a way to bring the size of the physiques down without imposing weight classes, which is not the right solution. Dave Palumbo here with an RX Muscle rant. Today's topic is men's physique. That's right, we haven't really talked about that very much. Tyler Mannion, our vice president of the NPC and IFBB Pro League, made a great video about how in the Pro League, in the IFBB Pro League, men's physique will be getting weight limits. So they're going to do something similar to what's going on in classic physique. They're going to limit people's weight by their height. And right now, I guess they've been doing over the last year some, I guess you could say, research in the sense that they've been taking down people's heights at these shows, checking their weights, and trying to see what the proportion is that would be right to set for men's physique. The idea behind this is to prevent men's physique athletes from getting too big. Now, I've been on the record numerous times as to saying that, number one, first of all, that's a great idea, that they're going to limit how big these guys are, because the men's physique guys are too big. Matter of fact, I think they're bigger than the classic physique guys are at this point in time. Some of them are. Some of them got great physiques, but they look like bodybuilders. And I think what's happening is that the top guys and the entry-level guys, there's such a big disparagement between the physiques that it's starting to almost look unattainable. And I think that's a problem. I think the reason men's physique came about was not to create the guy with the biggest, craziest looking upper body, but it was to create a more of I don't know, attainable look. A look that you would see maybe of a really great looking beach guy or beach volleyball guy. You know, that's how it started. Now, granted, the division evolved as it grew, and I liked where it went, and I think at some point it got too big. And I think that everyone would pretty much agree with that, and I think that's why we have this message from Tyler Mannion. The question is this the right answer? And I don't think it is. And I'm going to tell you why. With classic physique, it works really well because you're a certain height, you're a certain weight limited by your height, because we're evaluating your entire physique plus your symmetry. With men's physique, that's not the case. And what I mean by that is that yes, we're looking at the upper body, but we're not assessing legs. Legs are not judged. And legs are where most of the body weight of a person who lifts weights lies. I mean, most people's legs are way heavier than their upper body. I mean, there's a lot of mass there. And if you limit a person's weight by their height in men's physique, what's going to happen is these guys are going to not train legs. They're going to starve, off all the muscle in their legs so that they can distribute that scale weight to their upper body. So it's almost like cheating. So in other words, you won't be able to train legs as a men's physique guy if you're kind of at the cusp of your weight cutoff. And so to me, that's really not a good solution because of that. How about just have criteria, like when it first started? We don't want it getting bigger than this physique. Here, this is our standard physique. This is what we like. Here, see this guy? This is the look. Okay, if you're bigger than this, you're going to be marked down. That's all there is to it. That's simple. You cannot put weight classes on a division where you don't judge half the body because it's not fair. And what's going to happen is these guys won't be able to train their upper bodies. They won't be able to train their legs, because the leg mass will throw them over the weight cap. Okay? In classic, you're judging everything. So if you want to starve and not train legs, then your legs are going to be too small. So that's a good assessment. I think that women's physique should have the height and weight cutoffs, because essentially women's physique is classic physique for women's bodybuilding, But men's physique is a different type of a beast because of the fact that you're only judging the upper body. So I love the division. I think the physiques are incredible, and I think the physiques today are probably better than we've ever seen. Are they too big? Maybe. Some of the guys seem to hold it better than others, but we need to set a standard what we want this division to be. Here's the limit. We don't want these guys bigger than this look. We love freaky proportions, small waists, wide shoulders, sweepy, lats, but we don't want the guys too big where it becomes unattainable for the entry-level guys to get to. Because then what happens is you just have it's basically classic physique, or it's maybe even bodybuilding without judging the legs. We don't want to do that. We already got wellness where we judge, no, just kidding. Wellness is its own beast too because you're judging upper and lower body. So even though the legs are more important, at least you're assessing both. So, I mean, if you wanted to put weight limits on that division, you can do it. And that might not be a bad idea either. I don't know, but that's another discussion. But talking about men's physique, you can't put weight limits on the height. I mean, they can do whatever they want. They're planning on doing it after the Olympia. So the shows that go on after the Olympia, those are going to be the shows that they're going to start imposing these weight per height classes. I just don't think it's a good way to do it because of the fact that you're not judging half the body. I'm putting it out there because I think it's something for the powers that be who are assessing these divisions to think about. Think about putting out a look for the division that you want. And I remember when the division first started, there would be guys that come out on stage that today would probably be winning the shows. And back then, they marked them down. They said, nope, too big, back out of line. And the smaller guys were doing better. Remember, Mark Anthony was our first men's physique Olympia champ. He was not big at all back then. He had a beautiful physique, but he wasn't big. And that was the look they wanted. They wanted a beach body, great abs, round delts, pecs, arms, but nothing too overpoweringly big. Today, they really want to see a bigger back. They want to see a better V-taper, so you have to have more muscle to do that. And I'm all for that. I think that's great. But I think you're going to screw things up if they put a weight limit on this because of this. Because I know there's a lot of men's physique guys that have great legs. Such good legs, in fact, that I think I'd like to see them do classic physique. That's how good their legs are. They're going to have to let those legs shrink right up. And if they don't, and the division is such that the weights are actually high and higher than classic, then that's not going to solve the problem anyway. So you're still going to have guys that are too big. So I'm torn. I want to see a limit put on the class because I think the guys are getting too big. I agree 100%. But I don't think the weight per height is the way to do it with that division. I would like to see that imposed on women's physique, however, because I think those girls are getting a little too big. And I think if you put that height per weight, that'll prevent that division from getting out of hand. It'll keep a nice disparity between women's bodybuilding and women's physique, and that'll solve that problem. I mean, it solved classic physique's problem. Classic is perfect as far as I'm concerned. If you want to bump the weight up a pound or two, per height or per inch, I mean, I don't have a problem with that. But, you don't want to make it dramatically heavier because then you're going to start getting into basically open men's bodybuilding. But men's physique is a very, very interesting beast because of the fact that it's something that a lot of people get into when they first start bodybuilding. I'm going to do a men's physique show because it's attainable. And I think that once you take away the attainability of the class, it becomes something that people don't want to do anymore. And there shouldn't be a huge disparity between the amateur ranks and the pros, because that also is discouraging, because then you got a guy who turns pro and he's got to take 5 years before he can compete as a pro because he's just not big enough. So I think that they should figure out a way to bring the size of the physiques down without imposing weight classes, which is not the right solution. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't mind hearing all your opinions. Put them in the comments below. I'm Dave Palumbo with an RX Muscle Rant.